So there's 3 basic ports of the old school style, okay? The 5-pin DINs. One's called the MIDI out. Pretty simple idea. What do you think it does? It transmits MIDI information. It sends information. All right, great. All right. And then there's another port called the in, and that probably receives. Okay, so how would I hook this to that? If I want this to remotely control this, what do you think? Out's in, right? Pretty simple, right? Okay, so I ran a MIDI out. My MIDI in over here. So, should I be able to control that device? Right. This is why they invented MIDI, basically. The main idea was I want to have remote control. So let me make sure I'm not creating anything in Logic anymore. So I'll hit a note. So as I strike a note, I'm getting sound here locally, which is this synth sound, sine wave thing. And then over here, getting a saxophone. That's why they invented MIDI. It's like, hey, I want to play here and remotely control that. They wanted to have remote control. You remember the fortress of keyboards I was joking about earlier. Hey, I want to play this and so forth. So they had to come up with a whole set of messages. Hey, turn that note on. Hey, turn that note off, and all that sort of idea, right? So here's a really common misconception with MIDI then. If I strike this key, where's the sound of the saxophone come from? From this device. Does that make sense? So if this is unplugged, are we going to hear the saxophone? If I turn the volume down, am I going to hear the saxophone? No, it actually comes out of that device. It's remote control, right? And there's 2 reasons. One, MIDI doesn't send sound. The other is what? The communication is one way. Note outs are going out of the MIDI out to the MIDI in here. So that's it, right? So if I play this one, am I going to control this? No, I'm just going to control itself. There's a term for it. It's called local control, right? I control myself internally. Does that make sense? But I also could possibly control stuff remotely. Does that make sense? All right, so I broke that connection earlier when I separated the controller and the sound computer. But right, so if this isn't playing this one, could it? What would it require? Another cable? I mean, could they control each other? Can they be a master? The term they sometimes use is master and slave, right? This is a weird relationship. Can they be a master and slave of each other? You know, right now, this is a master of that. It's telling it what to do. Hey, play that note, and turn that note off, right, and so forth. Could this do the same here? Sure, it doesn't really make any sense the way I'm set up here. But there's no problem with it. It's not going to create some kind of crazy feedback loop. Nothing's going to explode, I hope. Right, so if I come into the MIDI in here.
Make sure you don't have a soft through.
So I hit this note, play saxophone over there, but I'm also playing sine wave here. I play here. Same, you know, it's like, why would I want that? I don't know, I can do it though. It works, right? So basic connections, out and in. Does it make sense? What kind of connection between these 2 ports would you never make? How would you not hook them up? Right, right? You ever been in that conversation before? You're just shouting at each other, right? You're just like, no one's listening, right? What's an end-to-end gonna do? Are you sending? Oh, we're just gonna sit here. That used to be a really common consulting call. It was really common. There used to be an adapter you'd get for a computer. This is showing my age. Sound Blaster card, anyone? All right, great. Okay, so yeah, go back in time here. So 15-pin joystick port. There used to be an adapter. I don't know if you guys even still sell it, but it would plug in. Oh, it's long ago. USB's killed it. But anyway, they made this thing. They would plug in this 15-pin port, and the cable that would go out it have male ends, and they were labeled brilliantly MIDI in and MIDI out. So people did what? Well, it's labeled MIDI in would go to the in, and the MIDI out would go to the out, and they'd play, and they'd get what? Nothing. And they'd call the store, and they'd say, "I have no idea." You need to call this expert. All right, and so I get this call, and I'm like, oh, let me just come over. I'm like, I think that you probably, I don't care, just come over, fix it. You know, I've been dealing with this for a day. Okay. So I show up, and I'm like, oh boy. Yeah, end to end, you know. So I make them wait in the other room. No, just kidding. Magic will happen.